like to make a basic chocolate cake. This is a cake that I really like, and so does my daughter. And I've always liked eating chocolate cakes and anything chocolate. And this cake is a simple butter cake that has a chocolate flavor. The ingredients would be almost similar to my basic butter cake recipe, and the only difference being that to the dry ingredients, which is the flour, I am going to reduce the flour and add a little bit of cocoa powder to the ingredients. And I'm also going to make a slightly larger cake, so I'm going to double the ingredients. So that is pretty much a simple recipe, a simple butter cake that anyone can do. And I'm sure you can see that I have some company in the kitchen with me. That's my little dog, Angel. And she's over here because today is the second day of Chinese New Year and there's lots of fireworks and so on earlier. So she's like really afraid. You know how dogs are, they have a very keen sense of hearing. So fireworks basically petrifies her. So she's in here in the kitchen with me because she's afraid, and I love having her in here as well. First thing to do, of course, is to preheat the oven. And yes, I've just done that. Next, have all your ingredients and your utensils ready. Everything that I need is over here. And then you measure the ingredients and set them on the table. And the next thing would be to measure your ingredients. So I have 2 cups. This is 1 cup. So I have 2 cups of caster sugar. It's all in this bowl over here. And I have a basic butter cake uses 4 eggs. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4. I have 4 eggs over here, and they are all at room temperature. Now, as far as the eggs are concerned, I'm going to break all of them and put them into a bowl or a container, or in my case, this is a measuring jug. But remember to always break 1 egg at a time, because if you were to break all the eggs one by one into this container, if at all 1 egg is bad, then you have to throw the rest of the eggs that are already in here. But this way, you break 1 egg into this little bowl, and then you pour it in. You can check if that egg that you're breaking, if that particular egg is bad, then you can throw away that egg, and this is still, you can still salvage the rest of the eggs. So remember that, for beginners that is. And now for the butter. I did mention previously in my basic butter cake recipe that I use about 225 grams of butter for a basic, a basic small cake. So, but because this has been double the measurement, so that makes 225 times 2 would be about 450. So this is 250. This is a whole block of butter, and this is 400. This is 200. So 250, 200. So this makes 450 grams of butter, which is roughly about 2 cups of butter. And remember, the butter has to be at room temperature, but not too, not almost like, getting, not, almost melting, because that would produce an oily cake, and you don't want an oily cake. And here in Malaysia, because it's so hot, very often you keep the butter outside for a while, a little longer than you should, and this becomes almost oily at the ends, and that makes an oily cake. And now for the flour. Now, I would usually sift for a small cake, I would sift a cup of flour together with a teaspoon of baking powder. So I have my baking powder over here, and I have my flour in this container over here. So what I'm going to do now is, because the dry ingredients, which is the flour, is going to be mixed with cocoa powder, I'm going to reduce the flour. So this 8 ounces would become 6 ounces and would be mixed with 2 ounces of cocoa powder, which makes 8. So since this is a larger cake, I'm going to be putting 12 ounces of flour and 4 ounces of cocoa powder, which I have over here. So remember, guys, for a small cake, it is 6 ounces of flour and 2 ounces of cocoa powder. But since this is a larger cake, I am going to use 12 ounces of flour and 4 ounces of cocoa powder. Remember that you need to sift your flour or the dry ingredients, and in this case it's flour together with cocoa powder and baking powder together, all the dry ingredients, sift it at least 2 times, I'm going to do it once today, but you can do it twice or even 3 times. Sifting the dry ingredients would make your cake more airy and fluffy. So I'm not going to sift my flour together with salt because I'm using salted butter. So I need 12 ounces of flour. So I'm going to use, this is 8. Okay, this is 8, and this is a 4 cup measurement cup, and this is 4. So that will be 12. And then I am going to add 4 ounces of cocoa powder over here, and this is about, okay, this is about 4 ounces of cocoa powder. I'm going to add it over here together. And now the baking powder. So because this is a larger cake, I'm going to use 2 teaspoons. 1, 2. So that's my baking powder that has gone in. All right. Okay. Now I've got to wash my hands before. No, I think I just sift it. Yeah, I'll just sift it now to show you. This is 1 time, and once right after sifting the flour, guys, I would also give it a quick stir because I don't want the flour to be like this. I want the cocoa and the flour to be incorporated properly. So sometimes I would just sift it again, or I'll just take a spatula, or even an egg. A spatula, or even one of those spoons or something, and give it a good mix. Okay, now this is 1. I'm just going to show you how I would actually take this. Don't have it over here. Take one of these and give it a good mix, so that the cocoa powder and the flour and the baking powder is incorporated properly and they're mixed nicely, so that you don't have bits of cocoa powder in one area and then you have, just plain flour in another area. So this is what I'm going to do. So this is my dry ingredients. I am not going to sift it again, but you could always sift it again if you wanted a fluffier cake. Now I'm going to measure a little bit of yogurt. Yeah, I didn't mention that earlier. So I normally don't really use any yogurt or milk to my butter cake, but this cake, being a cocoa or a chocolate cake, sometimes tends to be a little dry. So I am going to use a little bit of yogurt, just about a 1/4 cup of yogurt. I'm going to take a little bit of yogurt over here, and I'm just going to put about a 1/4 cup into this little and mix it with a little bit of water because I don't want it to be too thick. So that's what I'm going to use together with the cake. So you can mix the yogurt. I put about 2 teaspoons of yogurt over here from this, my homemade yogurt. I put 2 teaspoons and I've added a little milk into that and mixed it. So you can either use take your yogurt and mix it with water or some milk. So I'm going to set it aside here and make sure that it is at room temperature because I've kept it out for a while already. Remember to grease your tin, and also an added precaution of your cake not sticking to the base of the tin would be using some parchment paper or some baking paper to the base, especially the base. Oh, that's my oven. So I'm going to grease this, and then I'm going to put some flour. You can watch my video with the basic, my earlier video with the basic butter cake, and you would know how I did that. So I greased the cake tin, and then I put in some flour and I went all over like that, and then after which I put in my parchment paper. So that is prepping my tin, my cake tin. For the vanilla essence, I'm not going to measure it or anything because it's just a teaspoon, so I will add that when I have already creamed the butter and the sugar. So guys, I'm still using this Kenwood Chef mixer because I really like the way it works. It's so heavy duty and I'm really fond of it. I do have another another cake mixer, which is also Kenwood, but I don't like the way it's assembled and so on. So I just like sort of keep it on standby. And most of the time I use my mother's, the one that was handed down to me, because it really works so well. So now the mixer has been set up, and this is the butter, all the butter, and I'm going to just soften the butter a little bit and give it a mix for about a minute or so. Okay. Now I'm going to add the sugar. This is 8 ounces of sugar, and give it a good creaming. So at this point, you ought to cream it. You ought to cream this until it's nice and fluffy, and also it looks pale. The color is nice and pale. So you cream it until the whole mixture looks nice and creamy and also pale in color. So stuff it in between and give it a bit of a stir, like so. You see the color is already a little pale. It's nice and fluffy as well. So what I'm going to do is continue creaming the butter and the sugar until it gets nice and probably more pale. But I'm just going to every now and then just turn it, give it a stir with your spatula. Guys, I had accidentally added the egg a little bit already, but can you see that this part of the flour, of the cream, or the butter and sugar is nice and fluffy? So I'd added a little bit of the egg already. I didn't realize that it wasn't filming. So now that it's nice and pale, I'm going to add more. I don't add one by one egg at a time. I just add, I just add a little by little, just like this. So I've added some just now. Now I'm adding more. I'm going to stir it a little bit so that right at the bottom, sometimes the egg doesn't go right to the bottom. So I'm just going to give it a bit of a stir. And here you can beat it a little faster, but don't beat it for too long, because you don't want all that air that is incorporated from the egg to, you don't want to beat it so much that it goes off from the batter. So I'm going to turn it on a little fast. All right. Now I'm going to add the remainder eggs. All of it goes in. Put your hand in if you like. Get all that egg out. You can even use a spatula and turn it on again. Okay, I don't think I can do that right now. Yeah. Now guys, it's time to put in the vanilla essence. I'm just going to put 1 teaspoon, not too much, because this is not a butter cake or vanilla cake. This is essentially a chocolate cake. So I'm going to leave that. And I'm also going to pour in the 1/4 cup of yogurt and milk mixture, and then give it a mix again. Okay, now you can see that it definitely has some air in it. The batter definitely has some air in it, because you can see that? It's like a little, I don't know, jelly-like a bit, because it's like, you can sense, or you just know. You see that? All right, so now I am going to start ladling the dry ingredients into this. Last of all, I might just give it a quick mix with the beater, but for now I'm just going to ladle in the dry mixture like this. 1, 2, and when the dry ingredients mixes with the wet ingredients, that is when the baking powder starts to activate. So this is when you have to quickly get your tin ready, because you don't want the whole thing to start activating, the whole reaction of the baking powder to start when your tin is not ready, and so on. This should be done fast and quickly put into the tin and put into the oven. So I'm going to add all of this little by little. So as you can see, I'm using my hand and mixing it little by using my ladle and mixing it like so. I don't want to use this beater. I don't want to beat all that air bubbles out of this cake mixture. So right now I'm just going to do this, and then towards the end I'm going to give it one quick mix with the mixer. Turn it on just for a few minutes. And that's it. I'm going to take it out and do this. Now the cake tin is here. I'm just going to scrape off all this from the beater. I'm going to scrape it off into the cake tin. And over here, this is our batter. I'm going to just give it another mix, just like so. Okay, now I'm wondering whether this cake tin is a little too big, but it doesn't matter. The cake will just be a little smaller. All right, now take it out and we pour it in to the cake tin. Now, if you see lumps that have not been mixed, just give it a mix over here like that. It really doesn't matter, because once the cake bakes, everything sort of just gets amalgamated maybe, or just gets in there properly. I'm going to scrape out the batter from over there, and I'm also going to scrape the batter over from the beater, and then I'll get back to you. So I've just leveled this like that with my spatula, and okay, of course I'm not going to waste that little bit over there. And I'm going to do this just so that I learned this trick somewhere. You just have to okay, do that, and now it's ready for so guys, put it into the oven. I'm going to put it over there, and I'm going to put it to a 180 degrees. 1, 2, 3, yeah. 50, 60, 70, 80. Okay, so it's 180 degrees, and I'm just going to put it to about 40 minutes, or maybe 50 minutes. And basically, I will come and check in between to lower the temperature. So the cake will not be baking at 180 degrees all the way. Halfway through, I'll put it down to about 150 degrees or so. Okay. Cake has been baking for about 20 minutes. As you can see, it is now 20 minutes already, and it has been baking at 180 degrees Celsius. So now I'm going to put it at 150 degrees Celsius. I'm going to lower the temperature to 150 degrees Celsius, so the tops of the cake doesn't burn. So this cake, because it's a larger cake, is going to take about 40 to 50 minutes to bake, roughly. So let's see. So the timer just went off, and let's take the cake out and test it as well to see. This is how it looks like, but I'm not sure whether it's done yet. So let's check. I'm just going to do a quick test. Insert a spoon, a knife in. It looks clean. It says come out clean. Another way to test is, like, I made a little dent there. If you just press the cake a little bit and you feel like it comes up again, see, it's coming up, then you know that the cake is probably is done. So this cake is done. I'm going to cool it on this wire rack. You can see this is a wire rack that I've put it on. I'm going to cool it, and basically the cake is done. I've taken the cake out of the tin, and this is how it looks like. This is a delicious chocolate cake that is really simple to do. I'll cut out a piece, and then you can see how it looks like. So this is how the chocolate cake looks like. I'm going to taste some of it. Yum. Not too sweet. Nice and chocolatey. Soft. And it's not dry as well, as you can see. So guys, thank you for joining me today. I do hope you'll give this cake a try. And so here's Shakila Shanmugam signing off. Bye everyone.